This is the trade-off that you have to make whenever you're determining whether or not you want to create a large number of smaller stores or a small number of larger stores. Now, all of this aside, what you're interested in today really is in understanding how you will actually go about creating and working with those data stores. And that's really the topic here for the bottom section where we're going to interact with our ESX environment. Now we're going to create a VMFS data store out of the iSCSI connection that we created in that last nugget. And then with that we're going to take a look at it and all the different management things that you have to be aware of, not only just browsing the data store but also adjusting some of its configurations to include things like storage capabilities and user-defined storage capabilities and storage I/O control. These are new things that have been brought about in vSphere 5 that I think you'll really appreciate because they add in some much needed capabilities that make the working with storage a little bit easier. I'm going to show you how to extend a VMFS data store, and then I'm going to conclude by taking that existing data store that currently only has a single path connected to it and then add additional paths for the purposes of high availability and potentially load balancing as well. So what this does is this completes the whole story of storage and then presents you with the ability to begin hosting virtual machines. So let me actually minimize this, and you'll see we're back here at vc.company.pri. This is our vCenter server. And as of the last nugget, I have that local storage here. This is data store 1. This is the local directly attached storage to the ESX host. And then I also have that NFS mount that we created here earlier. This NFS mount is already been, a data store has already been created for this NFS mount. If I right-click and choose, I can actually browse that data store and see all the contents of the files that are in that data store. Now, at the conclusion of that last nugget, we actually went through the process of setting up the networking for this storage, and then we also set up the iSCSI stuff associated with the storage, and we have one connected target and one path to that target that are available. The step that we did not complete with is actually creating the data store out of that LUN that's now been exposed and plugged into the ESX server. Let me go ahead and do that now. Now, if I click the Add Storage button here, earlier we worked with the network file system, but what we want to do now is actually work by creating a disk/LUN storage type, which is associated with iSCSI. I click the next button here, and if I see that disk in my list of available disks, which I do here, then I know that I've done everything correctly. Let me go ahead and click Next once again, and we'll see that we have two different options here for the type of file system we want. Now, VMFS 5 has additional capabilities over what we got with VMFS 3, such as 2 terabyte or greater support. However, VMFS 5 is not supported by hosts with ESX that are older than version 5.0. The real thing that you should be aware of here is that you want to be on VMFS 5, but don't begin creating these LUNs until you have enough hosts that are at version 5.0 or greater so that they can support actually pulling this LUN onto those hosts. Now, these hosts are both at version 5, so I can create this LUN or this data store as VMFS version 5. I'm going to create a partition here. You can see it's not quite 200 gigabytes in size. And then I need to enter a data store name. I'll call this VM Data Store 1. And choose the next button here. And I can format it to the maximum available space if I want, or I can choose a